morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler, and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. What I'm going to do this morning is my usual Monday mornings chats from the truck, but we're going to do a pocket dump first for those of you that don't give a damn about the chats from the truck conversation, which I would love to tell you what it is, but I don't know yet. I've been thinking about it and I can't figure it out. So maybe this won't come out today. But just give you a pocket dump to see what we're working with here. Today, we have the Sencut. I almost said Civivi. The Sencut. Sencut is like a... Never mind. Tell that story later. Sencut. This is the Actius. It's basically the new version of the Backlash that's $10 cheaper and feels just as good, if not better. It's pretty awesome. So this is the Sencut Actius. This is the Sencut Citius. The Sencut Citius. These are the two knives that I'm carrying today. The reason I'm carrying these two is I need to get these reviews out there for you guys. See if they're worth it. Kind of get some hang time with them, because you guys need to see this shit. This is the new. That's the new Civivi brand. So, well, not new Civivi brand, new Wii brand of Civivi, which is. All right, welcome back. So, the topic that I'm going to choose today is knife related, and it's actually a pretty hot topic, even though it's not a hot topic yet. No, I'm not trying to be a trendsetter. We all know that this is coming. Sencut knives. I was trying to think of a topic for today's chats from the truck as I was flipping my Actium or Actius. I think it's an Actium and Insidious. The Actium, I'm going to call it the Actium. If I'm wrong, it's whatever. But is awesome. It reminds me of just a different, almost upgraded model of the Backlash. And I remember hearing Slicey Dicey at the beginning of this year talking about how he loved the Backlash so much that he hopes that they don't get rid of it. And I was kind of like, where's that coming from? The Dogma came out, and they thought the Dogma was going to replace the Backlash, and it didn't. Backlash is still around. Well, now we're starting to see it end up on a discontinued line on Blade HQ and et cetera, right? But then the Actium comes out. The Citius come out. They came out a couple months ago, and it was such a low-key, like, let's just trickle feed these into the market, that it confused me once I started thinking about it. So I read an article, and I'm going off of, what other people have said, and I've heard about them in various, communications. So I'm going to give two theories on a good theory and a bad theory on what can happen from this. But before I do that, I'm going to explain what I think they're trying to accomplish. So after reading an article, I forgot where the article was, but you can Google it. It's like Sencut News. It's not from Sencut. Sencut doesn't even have a website yet, from what I can tell. And the reason that the Citius looks so much like the McKenna and the Actium looks so much like the Backlash is because we's designers had a heavy hand in it. And I say we because I feel like we and Civivi are together after reading this article. I don't think Sencut is together with them. I mean, I think they're owned by we, but we has made it very clear that they want them to be their own identity, and they want it to be an entry-level knife that's the best quality, the best materials for the price, just like they tried to do with Civivi and we. And it's kind of different. It's a unique approach because they want Sencut to be original, but then they take the Backlash and I said McKenna, the Backlash and the Fracture. Sorry, the Backlash and the Fracture, and kind of do something slightly different with those to make these new models. What I think that they were doing is they were kickstarting Sencut. I think they knew that we knew what these models were, what they resembled, especially those of us that are huge fanboys of Civivi. And so they introduced that so that the Civivi fanboys, and this is only a theory, start doing the marketing for Sencut. Why are they doing that? Because I think they're trying to make Sencut its own brand, but they're going with the good, better, best model. And I think what they're trying to do is create more knife enthusiasts. The reason I say that is because with the good, better, best model, you're going to start buying Sencut if you just got into the knife hobby. You're going to start buying Sencut, and then we all know it's I don't know if it's like our generation or what, but we're never happy with what we have for very long. There's something about it that we want the next best thing. We want something better. Oh, wow, that looks nice. It's never like, that looks really nice, but I'm really happy with my Actium, right? I think what it is it's like, treat it like a gateway drug. Hey, man, you know, your first hit's free. And then you got that addict now, and he's going to come back to you and buy a bunch more and a bunch more and a bunch more. And I think by what they learned from Civivi is that their $50 and $40 price point knives were probably selling to newer and newer people rather than enthusiasts, short of, you know, reviewers and stuff, more than usual. Not more so than overall, but more than usual, because it's a cheaper price point, because we all remember getting into knives. And we can go, like I said before, to Tractor Supply, look on their clearance rack, and buy something that is $10. I bought a CRKT chunk for $10, right? And now, was it the best knife? No, I actually started to really like it after I sharpened it once. But I think what it is the new knife person doesn't want to spend $20, $30, $40 on a knife yet. And so they're going to start hitting. I would bet you that they come out with a knife that's $20 or less in 2021. Because it's going to be this entry level, hey, come check out what a knife really could be. And then we're going to get you hooked, right? Because it all happened. I would be willing to bet it happened with every one of us. None of us jumped in to the knife world purchasing a $200 knife without ever owning a knife before that. So realistically, if you boil it down, I think Sencut is a marketing company for weed. Now, all that being said, I think it's a marketing company for weed, but on the flip side of that, I think they're coming out and they're going to try to, like I said before in the unboxing, I think it's meant to say, hey, CJRB, hey, QSPs, hey, you know, anybody else in that lower price point that nothing stands out that's worthy of mention. You know, the only thing that stands out is the Gonzo clones and stuff, and everybody has their own feelings about that. And you're gonna crush those clones. Like a well-known name brand is standing behind Sencut saying, "This is our good model. Come check out our better and best model when you're ready." And you're not going to get that out of Gonzo. If you're a Gonzo guy at heart and you just, you know, you don't feel like spending a shit ton of money on knives and you're happy with what they're giving you, then that's different. But I don't think there's that many people out there that feel like that. I think that there's plenty more people out there that would rather, you know, kind of upgrade what they have, and eventually, once you watch reviewers and you watch all these people giving their opinions online, it's going to morph your opinion into, man, I can't do Gonzos, they're clones, you know. And again, I'm not judging either way. For the channel purposes, I'm not going to show Gonzo knives on the channel, just because it's a polarizing topic that I would just rather not touch. But that's the logic. They're going to crush the small companies. They're going to try to decimate their competition. But I think more so than competing and decimating their competition, their focus is hooking people on the Wii brand. Because Civivi hooks you on the Wii brand. right? If you look at every single Civivi that's come out, you could probably find a Wii knife that it was either had the same design language or something that makes you want a Wii. So, you know, that's the preliminaries. I think it's a twofold. It's to market and to crush the smaller competition, and it's to market to their Wii brand. So now what they're trying to do, in theory, is take over everything from $0 all the way up to $300. Now, are they going to accomplish that? And they'll never accomplish that at 100%, but they want to take it over. They want to be the biggest player there. Unfortunately for them, I think Benchmade and Spyderco, you're competing with them, but you're never going to beat them. They are their own entities, and I think what Wii is trying to do is make themselves a third party, right? Equal parts of the pie with those three, and then everybody else, you know, because think about Concept. Concept came out, and they're doing the same thing. They're hooking you with their D2 model. Come on in and then check out our titanium model. It worked on me. I want the cryo. I want that $200 cryo. You know, the Hell X. I want the upgraded Hell X after holding both of the budget models. So it's a good theory, but what I'm worried about is companies like Concept that are newer, they're going to have a lot of work ahead of them because you're getting hooked on Sencut, then you get hooked on Civivi, and then you get hooked on Wii. And we all know, like look at me with Spydercos. I went to the point where I started on Spyderco, and then I just started building up. And next thing you know, that's literally probably more than 50% of what I own as Forever Knives or Spydercos. So if you look at the brand loyalty in that sense, that's where they're coming from. And I apologize, this one's not as entertaining. This is more of like an actual discussion about knives. It's not one of my stupid stories or anything like that for the chats in the truck. But here's my two theories, and this may be where it gets more entertaining. I have a good theory that this is how this is all going to end. I have a good theory on how it's going to end, and I have a really bad theory on how this might end. And I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't think it's going to go bad, but it very well may, depending on how it all works out. So first, let's start off with the good theory. The good theory and the logic here is you are now creating more competition, especially in America. Competition is key. You have this capitalism going. The more competition you have, the harder the companies have to fight to get higher quality products at cheaper prices, right? Good theory, what happens when Sencut really releases themselves? Because right now they're a ninja throwing little darts out there. They got the Actium and the Sidious, and they're sitting in the background. They haven't even made a freaking website. They're trickle feeding them in there, letting people like me and other people that are finding them spread the word and kind of get everybody else hooked on them, right? And I don't feel guilty for that. That's what I do as a reviewer. But I mean, it's we're kind of pawns in their game. But so they're creating a hype. They've only created 2. They're making them at relatively limited availability to some extent. You can only get them on Amazon right now. And I think it's going to drive down, it's going to make CJRBs, the QSPs. I mean, QSP came out with this Penguin, right? Penguin's coming in at D2 at like $30 with micarta. You know, it's on bearings. It's a fantastic knife. Fantastic. Easily, and I don't think it came out in 2020. It might have came out in early 2019 or late 2019. But if it came out in 2020, easily one of the heavy-hitting budget knife potentials. Even the S35 version, you know, what was that, like $65? It was stupid. So they came out with some really heavy-hitting budget knives. Well, now if you start releasing all these 9CRs, all these D2s at the $30, the $20 price point, it's going to force them to compete. Because why would I go to QSP as a guy who doesn't know much about QSP when I can get something that I know is a Wii brand, which is a Civivi brand, which is a Sencut brand, and know that it's got the Wii name behind it to some extent, right? But I don't think Wii is all in. I don't think that they've committed all into this, because they're saying that they want Sencut to be their own entity, to come out with their own in-house designs. why would you come out with your own in-house designs if you're trying to market to your upscale Wiis? Like, why wouldn't you take design language from Wii and create some very budget-nized based on that? So I don't think they're all committed. I think they're kind of tipping their toes, and that's why they haven't blown up Sencut on their own. They want Sencut to get out there, and then when Sencut really starts doing well, we will start talking more and more about Sencut. But if they don't do well, I think Wii's going to be able to be like, that's all right. And I think that's where they're going. But my theory is it's going to drive down the prices of all those other brands to compete with them to get a higher quality product. We stop seeing, cheap FRN. FRN is fine, like on the Ortis or the Ortiz that Civivi came out with. That's fine because it feels good and they did the right thing with it. But something like on the Honey Badger, and I love the Honey Badger line, but something on the Honey Badger, that material feels cheap. So why would you want that $30 cheap material when I could still get frickin' G10 and an Actium and a Sidious? Well, that all comes in the good, right? You're going to start pushing everybody to be like, well, you better frickin' figure it out or else you're gone. You're not even going to, you're a blip on the map at this point. That's the good. Drive down the prices, drive up the quality. Drive down the material costs. Drive up the quality, drive down the price, but keep the materials the same, if not better. And that's where capitalism comes into play. That's, competitive. That's business in general. The bad. This is what worries me. Depending on how Sencut does, if Sencut does the same exact thing as Civivi, where they release freaking a bajillion different models within a year's time frame, which is fine. It worked out for Civivi, and it worked out really well. It gave us all really good options at lower prices. But you're doing it at such a low price that I'm worried that the new people out there they're going to saturate the market to the point where it just kind of everything just becomes blurred. There's, why would I get this when I get this? Why would I get this? And the enthusiast in us and the enthusiasts in the community won't let that happen, right? We're going to say, no, dude, there's a reason that this costs X amount of money. Like, yes, there is a point of diminishing returns, but, between the designer, the work that went into it, I mean, we all appreciate those things. But how long can we continue to appreciate the higher end models when the lower end models are doing something very, very good? The only thing you're getting at that point is if you're giving me D2 G10 for $30, why would I ever in my life purchase something like the Doris for $65, right? I don't know, and I think it's a bad example because it's the same company, but it's the first one that came to mind. It's the same exact thing. You have G10 bearings and D2 for $65 when I can get it for $30. I'm worried that it's going to saturate the market and just convolute the living crap out of things. And I think we're going to, in this theory, it's potential that we lose some of our higher end stuff. It's potential that we lose the focus on the real designs, not the real designs, but the expensive designs, the designs that people have spent time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into designing, making, and bringing to the customer. It actually makes me kind of worried that we're going to do that. I know that, I don't know if that was conveyed right, but I don't want the focus for my own wants. I don't want the focus of the knife community to be solely on these $30 knives. And yeah, maybe the price point gives some allure, right? It gives the chase. You got to save up for X, Y, and Z to get this. And so by the time you get it, you've saved up for months, and you're finally like, oh, here it is. I finally have it in my hands. And you get that feeling of the chase plus the gratitude, and it feels so good because you chased it. And you're not having to do that as much anymore. And so we're catering to the millennials, what do we call the next ones? Gen Xers. You know, we're catering to the 18 to 35-year-old range, which I fall into that category. Don't get me wrong. I want my stuff and I want it now, and when I get it, my mind is on the next thing within a couple of days. Unfortunately, for some reason, that's how our minds work for the most part. Shit. I got guys at work that you can tell they expect their paycheck before they've done the work, right? And that's not anything they've said, but it's, the old timers, you can see they work for pride and they work for their families for sure. They know they're going to get paid, but they work for pride over the pay. Whereas the new generation, including myself, we work for the pay over the pride and over the just integrity of what you do. I think our generations have lost the integrity. And I'm getting off topic, but what I'm saying is it's going to pollute, and it's just going to cater to a millennial stance and a younger generation stance of we need this and we need this now. Okay, I got it. I want the next thing. And that kind of makes me scared. I don't think it's going to be a serious issue, but that was my first thought when I thought of Sencut was, are you going to pollute the market to the point of everything just becomes so obscure that you're asking yourself, why? Why do I do this? Why should I do this? And then if that's the case, then companies like Spyderco and Benchmades need to get worried, because you are so committed to the Sencut brand and the lower budget brands of quality and materials for this awesome price. Why would you ever deviate? And Benchmade especially. If I was Benchmade, and I'm not a huge businessman, but if I was Benchmade, I would be a little worried, because Benchmade shit is already overpriced. We all have come to terms and accepted that. Well, now somebody's challenging that theory. Not directly, but in my opinion, indirectly. You're challenging that theory. They challenged it with Civivi, and now they're going to challenge it with Sencut even further. Okay, Benchmade, you're made all in the USA, so you're going to cost more money. You give this awesome warranty that everybody says you give this warranty, but some of the other companies' warranties aren't much different, even though we don't talk about that. So you're gonna charge me, X, Y, and Z for what? Okay, why the fuck are we paying? Excuse the language. Why are we paying $140 for a bug out? FRN scales, or even the upgraded CF Elite. What is the blade steel? S30? I think it's S30. What? Look at the Penguin, right? The Penguin came out, and the Penguin came out at even a $65 price point for S35 bearings. The only thing you don't have is the axis lock and the weight, the weight that the bug out came out with. But we're so hyped into the bug out that we're paying $140 for two pieces of, let's boil it down, plastic and an S30 blade that I can get on, say, the Manix 2 for $110. The only thing you're paying for is the weight. Now, again, that may not be the right argument, but that's where Benchmade ticks me off, and that's kind of why the only Benchmade that I own, and the only one I'm really interested in right now at this point, is the Super Freak. Maybe the Mini Freak, but even that one, the price point at $260 makes you kind of want to throw up a little bit in your mouth. And that was before Sencut, right? Now Sencut's out there, and again, you guys feel free to disagree with me. I don't care if you guys disagree with anything that I'm saying, hardcore. I'm kind of rambling at this point, and I'm using the last idea to trail off into the next idea. But even before these things started happening, we were questioning why Benchmade, why? And then we started questioning Spyderco. After watching Metal Complex, he was saying that the Shaman used to cost like $155. Now it's $210. Like, why? For S30, you're kind of like, And I talked about it before. S30, I'm comfortable paying $100 to $165, or $100 to $80 to $140 for S30. It's a great steal, But what you're willing to pay for it kind of dictates how good it actually is. If I'm willing to pay you $200 for something, then yeah, sure, it's just as good as it is. But at the same time, if I can pay $200 for S30, or I can go to a different model or a different brand and get M390 for $200, even M390 right now, I mean, it's a great super steel, but our value system's constantly being challenged, which is a good thing. But these other companies, they gotta be careful. You know, if Benchmade doesn't come out with anything to compete, the only customers that are gonna consistently buy Benchmade are the Benchmade diehards, right? The American, I have to buy American made. I love Benchmade for that, and that's fine. I mean, if that's your value system and that's what you have dictated to purchase that stuff, then yes, that is perfectly okay. But you're not going to hook anybody else. I think the value system of wanting to purchase American made only is limited to the 30 years old, and this is average. Obviously, in data points, there's outliers, right? I would say that the want to buy American-made blades only or American-made products only is limited to the 30 years up and above. And guess what? That's from this point on. That's not the new 30-year-olds, right? You know, now that COVID and everything hit and everybody's blaming China, Trump came in, you know, it's a little bit different, but I don't think that we're going to see the want to do that for very much longer when you have all these competitive prices coming in from other brands. And again, this was kind of all over the place in my thought process. As I told you in the initial intro, I didn't even know what I wanted to talk about. So this is what I do, is I start rambling and getting in a different place. But just think on that. Give me your thoughts in the comment. How do you think Sencut is going to affect the knife market overall? How do you think that this is going to play out for everybody else? And what do you think of companies like Spyderco and Benchmade and what they're going to have to do to upkeep with the pressure that we, Civivi, and now Sencut are going to put on them? Because Civivi's already put the pressure. I would be willing to bet you that Benchmade and Spyderco took a hit when Civivi started picking up steam. I'd be willing to bet. I would love to see those, but nobody's going to show us those numbers because nobody wants to advertise that their company's not doing as well as it was. That's all I got for you guys today. This was a good chat from the truck. I'm sorry I rambled. I probably lost 90% of you, but I think it's a fair talking point, and we need to talk about these things. We need to be aware of these things because it directly affects us and only us. So that's all I got. Give me your thoughts on Sencut. Give me your thoughts on what Spyderco, Benchmade, those types of companies are going to have to do. Even the QSPs, the CJRBs. You know, and I talk about CJRB as if it's not Artisan already. Artisan can do the same thing as we. So CJRB is a little bit safer than, say, QSP. You guys have a great day. Happy Monday. Let's get this thing rolling.